Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston Subdivision in HO Scale. My name is Darrell Cruz, owner, builder, and operator of the layout, and your host for episode 34 of season 2023. This is another weekly update for Sunday, September 17th. I have a lot to show you this week. Actually, that's not true. This is actually going to be a very short update because what I promised to get done this last week, I did not get any of it done. I got a little sidetracked, I'm afraid, and got some things done, but not what I was planning to get done at all. This is what I was planning on working on. This is West Vaco control point, right between the peninsulas, at the base of the peninsula, actually. My goal was to get some paint down and some ground foam and ballast from this section about 2 feet past this signal here, basically as far as I could reach, all through this control point with the double crossovers, or 2 crossovers I should say. Get this plywood painted, some ground foam down, ballasting done, again 2 feet past these signals also, basically as far as I could reach. So that was the goal, was to get all of this done. And as you can see, it's not done at all. It's still completely bare, still has no scenery on it whatsoever. This kind of give you an idea what part of the layout we're talking about. Again, this is at the base of the peninsula, which you're looking at the peninsula there. You have the West Vaco plant in one direction, and Peru and Green River in the other direction. So this is what it looks like standing here by the UTLX. This is the section that I wanted to work on and didn't get to. And as you can see, you really don't get a good look at it. It's just about as close as you get. This is from the other side. So it doesn't have to be done really in detail, but I definitely wanted to get it started so that I can start working all the way down. I want to get done about to here so that I could reach the rest of it from this side. So once I get that section done there in between, by the way, I'm a little bit higher here because I'm on the platform. So you actually do get a little bit better look at it from the platform than you do from the other side, but this is what it looks like when you're on the ground. This is what you're on the platform. So anyway, not a whole lot needs to be done there. Just painting, ground foam, ballast, and then you put the backdrop up somehow. And then once I get that done, then I'm going to work towards Peru on the upper level and then eventually Evanston. Now, what got me sidetracked, one thing was couplers, about 100 of them. For some reason or another, I was just kind of messing around and doing some operating by myself, and I had some coupler issues, and I thought I'm just going to go through and do as many as I can do. These are the ones that give me the most trouble. This is a Scale Trains there. The other two were Accumate by Athearn. This is a Scale Trains right there. They look pretty prototypical, but they're operationally speaking, they're not very good. So basically, I went through all the trains, and I also went through the yard and looked for cars with these types of couplers. Now, again, these couplers look really nice. They're very, I think, prototypical looking, and they're much more to scale. Unfortunately, they don't operate real well, especially in the setting that we have here on the Evanston sub. I almost said Geneva sub there for a second. On the Evanston sub, which is HO scale, and they don't work very well because in this setting because I run long trains, I have a helix, and I also run a DPU, and all three of those things really put a lot of stress on the couplers. Having long trains will put a lot of stress on the couplers at the front end of the train. Now, so that makes it very hard. There's the scale trains right there. you have not only the coupler, but you also have the little metal spring that goes in there. But first of all, I just had to remove this here, put in the KD couplers. I'm trying to get everything switched over to KD couplers, specifically the number 148s with the centering whiskers. You can kind of see the process I'm using. This is a Scale Trains covered hopper with the rivet counter, so you can see it's got some detail that I had to deal with. But going back to the reason why I'm switching these out, if I had a smaller layout, I probably would have been fine with these. In fact, like I said, they look good. But since I run long trains, the amount of pressure that's put on the front end of the train, especially going up slopes, this is a mountain railroad, so had a lot of issues with uncoupling, with them just pulling apart from each other. And then also with using DPUs, you get a lot of slack action from the back DPU pushing on the train. Can cause a lot of slack action for the changing position of the node. You may want to look that up, see what a node is, NODE on a DPU. And then also I have a helix, which is even tougher climb, and also creates issues. So with the layout that I have, with it being a large layout and long trains and DPUs and a helix and everything, I really need to have couplers that will work flawlessly. And while these may look good, they don't work flawlessly. They couple, the spring action is not that good. This is the one for Athearn. I think those are Accumates where they have the spring on the coupler itself. And then this is the Scale Trains. You notice no spring on the coupler. That's why they have to have the metal spring to go with it. But it's very simple to change these. If you notice, it's not really taking very long to change these couplers out. I think I could probably do a coupler every minute and a half, depending on how efficiently I'm working and how quickly I'm working. But it goes pretty quickly. But still, if you're doing 100 of them, it takes a while. And I somehow got started on it, and I was like, I just kind of kept going. And I basically worked on it over the course of about 2-3 days. And by the time I had all that done and spent all the time on that, plus I also did some work on my dispatcher's panel, which we'll see here in a little bit. And didn't get to the scenery part, and so I know I promised that, didn't get to it. I am going to get to it this week a little, and I'm going to share a little bit more about that coming up. So here's what they look like. As you can see, they're not as to scale as the Accumates or the Scale Trains couplers, but they look realistic. Great thing though is that with them being all the same type of coupler, it's so much easier to uncouple them with a uncoupling pin of some sort. And what I really like is that you can couple them extremely easily, and they couple consistently. Definitely one of the things I like about HO compared to N-Scale. N-Scale did not always couple up. You had to kind of make sure that things were centered. And a lot of times, if you had a single car like this here, when you would try to couple them up in N-Scale, it just simply would push the car back. It wouldn't actually couple. In HO Scale, since they're bigger and heavier, you can easily couple up to them. So that's one thing I really like about the KD couplers, is that they couple very, very consistently, and they don't come uncoupled unless they're supposed to. So definitely very good operating couplers, and it's great that I'm getting them all switched over. I have all of them, almost all of them switched over. All the Accumate and Scale Train couplers are gone, and still have some Walthers ones to change over. Now, one other thing I got really spending a lot of time on is working on my dispatcher's panel. If you haven't yet, you might want to check out the ops video I did a couple days ago that shows the implementation of the new dispatchers panel that actually tracks the trains as they're going. So here you can see this train going, and you can see in the lower right hand corner the name of the train, the number UP7993, and as it goes across the dispatchers panel, the number for the train will go with it. So the dispatcher, when he's dispatching, will know not only that the track is occupied, but that which train is occupying that block. And that is really, really important. I've dispatched the layout a couple times, and it gets really confusing when you give a train clearance to occupy some tracks and go across the layout. Then you have someone else coming from the other end, and then you kind of get going on the third train, and you have 2 or 3 or 4 trains running. You forget which trains are which and where they all are. So it definitely is going to be really helpful for the dispatcher to have the tracking, and you can kind of see now it's being released at different points. And so I'm definitely looking forward to our next op session, so that hopefully will be a big help to the dispatcher. And it took quite a bit of time to figure out all the programming on Railroad and Company software that I'm using by Friedwald Software. Again, that's Railroad and Company by Friedwald Software. All right, back to this coming week, and this section here, I definitely am going to get to that section there. The plan is to get that done and then continue on the upper level here. So this is from West Vaco to Peru, and then from Peru it goes down the helix to Green River. So this is all 10 inches wide. I have some backdrops in, but I haven't done anything as far as painting, putting it in ground foam. This is going to be a very simple scenery job, and I am probably going to do some static grass here also. But I want to get the upper level done. Then it goes into the helix. I want to get the upper level done so that I can then transition to the lower level. And the upper level will have some static grass as well as the ground foam and everything. So I want to scenic then this here, some plaster forming will have to go in here. There's going to be a road that goes along between the main line and the backdrop, a road that's going to go along the main line there. And then for Evanston proper, a lot of this is going to be mainly just painting the plywood when it get all the wood painted, and then some ground foam, but there's going to be a lot of just gravel. If you look at the backdrop pictures, the yard doesn't have much vegetation. So there will be some vegetation, some ground foam and everything, but it'll also be a lot of ballast. And I want to get this all this wood painted, and then basic scenery, and then ballasted. So my whole idea here is over the course of the next few weeks, between now and my birthday, which is end of October, I'd like to have this all done with scenery, the fascia painted, and everything, pretty much looking good in this room. And then I can move on to the rest of the layout. So sorry I didn't get a whole lot done on the layout. Did get a lot of couplers done and some work on the dispatching. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe, become a member. Have a great week, everyone. Stay tuned for part 2 of the Ops video series. Take care, everyone.